And hi, welcome to Cebu, and a somewhat noisy studio because I'm actually outside on the front of my house. Thinking strategically. This is the topic. It seems from the literature, thinking strategically is really about using tools. Those tools, how do I express this? Are you aware of the thinking, of the theorizing that was behind those tools? Because that theorizing, that theory, impacts on your thinking, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. And what are the limitations of that thinking? We are rethinking, strategic thinking. The strategy literature, well, it's crazy, absolutely crazy to attempt to characterize it in a simple way. But if you read the opening paragraphs of almost any treatise on strategy, you will find arguments setting out the different perspectives that the author has been considering, what their limitations are, and the merits of the forthcoming proposals. So let's be a little bit crazy. Let's follow that pattern for the moment, huh? Maybe it all started from economics and a desire to explain why some industries, some businesses performed better than others. The thinking being, if we could understand that, we could do better. So, Strategy 101. Michael Porter, to be more precise, 5 forces model of industry structure. My proposal, my contention here, is that this is just pure microeconomics. I mean, bless him, Porter's very clever because he's taken the implications of the theory of competition in microeconomic theory and gone, boom, look at this. These are the threat of new entrants. Well, actually, it's not. What he has listed and what I'm showing you here are the barriers, not the threats. The things that would keep you safe. Anyway, and then it goes on. Let's have a look. You'll have a hard time in the industry if your suppliers have high bargaining power relative to you. Yeah, well, that's common sense. But just pause and read what each of these things are. Okay? The relative size, the differences or distinctions between competitors that people can recognize, sensitivity to price, a buyer's ability to use substitutes, and their availability or switching costs. Now, the issue for me is this. You teach this strategy stuff to students, they go, oh, yeah. If they've done any economics, they recognize it and think, yeah, that's familiar. It's very, very difficult to operationalize. It's extremely difficult to be able to measure or to assess. But we'll come to that in a moment. Are there substitutes for the thing that you are trying to sell? If there are, tough. And then we saw bargaining power of buyers of your product. Well, what about your suppliers? Do they have bargaining power? Probably. But what is it relative to yours? To your buying power? Oh, what fun, what fun, what fun. And then there's the idea of rivalry. The kind of competitiveness. developed the five forces model principally in competitive strategy, but then outlined again in competitive advantage. In 1996, Porter wrote another paper entitled What is Strategy? And it's a paper about strategic positioning. Okay, this is an important idea. What's interesting is he wrote that in such a way as he positioned the paper. Amongst all the other papers. Less so about the individual businesses, much more so about a network of activities. And the challenge to the individual business is to gain dominance in key elements of that network. There. IKEA, is probably the most easily recognizable of the examples he gives to those of us in, I was going to say UK, Europe, but increasingly here in Asia as well. You recognize IKEA as a presence. And he pulls out these 4 black circles as being absolutely key activities. He contends, there's a nice word, he contends that the white circles support and enable the black ones, but the black ones are it. Okay. There's an issue though. Oh, Daddy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Going to be an edit here. The issue is this. Porter has presented this, somewhat retrospectively, as IKEA's deliberate positioning to gain the commercial advantages that they have. In our rethinking strategic thinking, this is a good place to mark something. Porter suggests, is implying they did this deliberately. Where we are going is to recognize that this configuration of value activities in the value network, in the activity network, has emerged out of the beliefs and the work values and the practices of people in IKEA. Okay? It was not a deliberate positioning strategy. It's the way we do things in IKEA. But more of that perhaps later. In the way that Porter's doing this, there's 2 problems. It's outside in. The quality of your analysis and the quality of your decision making as a result of that is absolutely dependent on how well you are able to do your research and how clear your analysis is. The other thing is, it's going to seem a bit strange after what I've just said, but there's little attention to the capability of the business. Bearing in mind that Porter is saying, this is planned, you are planning to achieve this configuration. And if you are not paying attention to what you're good at, you've no chance of making a plan that you can actually achieve. Anyway. And then the other notion is, still, given the origins of Porter's thinking and the way he's worked it through, we are considering only economic elements, only entities recognized or describable in economic terms. And this, for me, is another great big hole a fundamental issue, strategy, cannot be distinct and separate from issues of leading an organisation. Now, Porter and some of the other authors that we're still to look at, they see leading as being managing the change that is necessary to achieve the desired configuration. Leading is not about implementing. Leading is about leading an organisation. Including thinking strategically. Rethinking. Leading strategically. Oh. So, maybe instead we look at the business and try and understand from within the business what's enabling it to do stuff. Thies is perhaps the best known economist who's trying to explain what capability or what asset within an organisation explains superior performance by that organisation. So the emphasis is on identifying strengths, rather like Porter's activity network, and how these combine to secure superior performance. We must understand how these so-called capabilities link to the environment, they connect to the environment. How is it that they are relevant to the environment? And can that relevance be sustained? Again, this is an analytical from outside the organisation. This is a review. How do I explain this? I know what it is. This is like watching a film of your organisation, not being in your organisation, understanding what's going on around you while you are filmed. The idea of dynamic capability. Capabilities are only ever temporary because the environment and competitors, they're always moving on. Capability is in the context of a market space. The organisation is more capable or less capable within the conditions of that market space. To be dynamic and to remain capable, there has to be a connection into the market space and feedback about how things are going within that market space or from that market space. And this in turn, this connection and feedback then has to be connected to the development of the capabilities. And if it cannot be, by thinking, connected, no dynamic capability. All right. So, what do these guys say? What do these guys think? Well, bearing in mind this is a looking from outside of the organisation, not from within, this is what they have to say. Sense. Identify opportunities and perhaps group these into technological possibilities and be thinking about how to shape them in technology development. But there is a sensing. This tickles me the way they lay out. Then there is the strategy. The strategy is about anticipating your competitors and their reactions to stuff. And then the other element is as you develop intellectual property or you need to defend that intellectual property. Okay? I love this wording. Seize! Design, redefine the business model. Commit resources. This, when you look at it like this, this is only valid if you believe in managing or controlling organisational change. That is an issue which is really up for grabs, and I'm sure we will have a look at that in another video later on. But for the moment, it's seize, design and refine the business model and commit resources to that. And then you get into the transition, transform, realign the structure, realign the culture. Oh dear, so you bring existing capabilities into line, you align your existing capabilities, and you invest in new and additional capabilities. Well, you can tell from my voice tone, I am not a fan of this way of thinking at all. You'll be asking me soon, what are you a fan of? Well, I'd just ask you to stop, think about your own organisation, and how to express this? Think of the experience of being in it when some beast at the top of the organisation designs, redesigns and refines your business model. And then they are using some logic to realign the structure, to realign the culture. Who wins, who loses here? My contention will be generally it's the organisation itself, because it loses... Oh dear, what am I trying to say? The people who work in the organisation are not automatons, okay? They're not automatons. They will work to a minimum standard when they're under pressure. If they're not under pressure, if they're really, really enjoying themselves and they're finding it exciting doing new stuff, they will way overperform what has been designed for them in the organisational space.